You heard us yesterday reacting to live news that was coming down about IRS whistleblowers who had spoken to the House Committee on Ways and Means. Congressman Jason Smith had done a fantastic job of beginning to tell the story of Hunter Biden and Joe Biden's relationship, and also of preferential treatment that was given, according to these IRS whistleblowers, to Hunter Biden based on his certainly being the son of the President of the United States, Joe Biden. And so we wanted to get Congressman Jason Smith, the chairman of the House Committee on Ways and Means, on with us to tell this story directly to all of you. And we have now Congressman Jason Smith. I just gave a little bit of an introduction there into the what I would fairly characterize, I think, as blockbuster revelations that you provided yesterday. For people out there who have not seen these allegations from the IRS whistleblower, what would you want our audience to know as a preliminary here about what you guys have uncovered?
Absolutely. It's great to be with you. My first week as the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee this year, I set up a whistleblower hotline for any employee of the IRS to contact us because the Ways and Means Committee has jurisdiction over the IRS of anything we need to look at. And I'll tell you, we've had a lot of whistleblowers come forward. And what we did yesterday is there was two whistleblowers that came forward from the IRS. They were both IRS investigators that, in fact, have been part of the investigative team looking into Hunter Biden's tax issues since 2018. And they came to us because there was several issues. One issue, they believe that the federal government was not treating all Americans equally. If you were wealthy and politically connected, you had a different standard. Especially if you were politically connected to Biden, you had a different standard. They also highlighted and alleged in their 14 hours worth of testimony that we took with Democrats present throughout the entire time. So it was Republicans and Democrats present the entire time. But they also had really concerning allegations where the Department of Justice whether they would delay aspects of the prosecution or the investigation, they would divulge information to Hunter Biden's attorneys, would tip them off, for example. Like, we're going to do a search warrant in your Northern Virginia storage unit. They told his attorneys before they ever did it. It was just countless things. And then you saw numerous items of how they denied the independence of the prosecutor in Delaware. So we had to have a public vote of the entire committee so that we could make this information public. And the American people, they deserve transparency. They deserve to know what's out there, and we'll see where the facts lead us.
Congressman, it's Buck. I just want to know how verified all these different components are. Like, when we talk about a whistleblower, you set up a tip line. I assume that your committee has verified these individuals work for the IRS, have the kind of jobs and connection to the case, right? And then also specifically on the WhatsApp message that I'm sure you saw that was just rocketing around the internet yesterday, that's supposed to be from Hunter Biden to, I guess it's Chairman Z. Has this been are these allegations, or have these been verified as fact and therefore evidence?
Well, everything that was released yesterday was testimony of these two whistleblowers and their allegations of what they experienced or how they were dealt with throughout the years of investigating Hunter's tax returns from 2014 to 2019. In fact, it was from their testimony that WhatsApp message was delivered, because that was an example that was being discussed of how the Justice Department was delaying prosecution because they were trying to delay whether that was verified or not. So all of this material came from the testimony of the two different whistleblowers, which is virtually almost the same. Their testimony was not together. They were separate interviews. And these are whistleblowers that have been IRS investigators for more than 10 years. Both of them was represented by their legal counsel. They're there. They just care about their job, and they saw something was not happening appropriately, and they couldn't stand for it any longer.
So what's the next step, Congressman? For people out there who read, and we certainly have discussed, and you've laid out some of the allegations here, to me, the natural outcome is, at a minimum, we need to have many of these individuals in under oath, whether it's Merrick Garland, whether it is certainly anyone involved in the U.S. Attorney's investigation, other higher-ups who are involved certainly in the IRS. Those people need to also provide testimony under oath. What's next? What can you do? Who can you subpoena? And in your mind, is this laying the groundwork for a potential impeachment of either Joe Biden or Merrick Garland?
This is just the beginning. These facts is the first step. Because of the statute under 6103 authority, only the Ways and Means chairman had access to this private taxpayer information, and that's why we had to vote to make their testimony public by the committee. And by doing that, that allows the information that was collected in their testimony to be able to be used by other committees within Congress, such as the Judiciary Committee, such as the Oversight Committee, that has different areas of jurisdiction. And there's so many investigations that's being done by those that now we have created a lot of facts that they've been searching for, but they've been blocked from getting. And we were able to get a lot of that. But what came up was numerous individuals that we do have to bring in and ask questions with, have them on record and under oath. There's a list of several names, but you're exactly right. This is the beginning, and we're going to see where the facts lead us. But it's pretty alarming, and it's concerning. No individual should be treated differently in this country under the law because they're wealthy and politically connected to people in power. That's not the American way.
Speaking of House Committee on Ways and Means Chairman Jason Smith, Congressman Smith, what else are you going to try to track down in terms of either additional avenues of inquiry, additional information, threads that you want to pull on here? I'll put one out there. I'm wondering connections between Hunter and his dad, Joe.
Well, the message that you referred to as a WhatsApp ad clearly shows that the president of the United States was seated right next to his son, waiting for a direct call from a Chinese businessman that he had a financial relationship with. And that counters all the public comments that the president of the United States has said that he knows nothing about the business dealings of his son. That clearly is alarming and concerning. It's also alarming and concerning that there was more than $17 million that went to Hunter Biden and his associates. And, who are all those, where's all that money going? Did it go to some other people that we should be paying attention to? Hunter Biden got a gift of an $80,000 diamond. He got a Porsche worth more than $140,000. So they never paid taxes on all this stuff. In fact, because Department of Justice, according to the whistleblowers' allegations, delayed the investigation aspect, the statute of limitations expired in 2014 and 2015 tax years, where they claim on a conservative estimate, Hunter Biden owes the federal government more than $300,000 worth of taxes. Let me tell you, any normal American, if that would have happened, they would have had more than a slap on the wrist. They would be serving time in prison.
Congressman, could you have primetime hearings on this? Because for people out there who hear this, one of the super frustrating things, and I'd be curious, you probably have paid some attention or your staff has, is that the CNNs, the New York Times, the Washington Post, all of those of the world, MSNBCs, everybody knows the usual suspects, they will just pretend this story doesn't exist. And it almost becomes a necessity to do something like have a primetime hearing like we saw related to January 6th to force those networks to carry something of this magnitude to allow the evidence to be out there, because there's a huge amount of the American public. I appreciate the fact that our audience knows, and I'm glad that you're sharing it, but I'm sure you know at least half the country will have no idea that these allegations and this evidence even exist. How do you make them aware?
You're exactly right. And that's a huge struggle that we have, but we have to continue to fight for the truth to get out there and push that message. So there's so many different opportunities, I think, that lies ahead. We have a lot of work to continue to do, and you betcha we're going to do that. The Ways and Means Committee is usually a committee that's focused on economic policy, tax and trade, and healthcare. But you know what? We also have an oversight requirement, and it's too important for our country, and we're not going to slow down on that.
Outstanding stuff, Congressman. We know it's Friday. We know you are super busy. We appreciate you making the time to come join us here and break all this down with us. Thank you.
No problem. Absolutely. Anytime.